you were not living under a rock in the 90s and 2000s in India, you would know Ram Gopal Varma and his movies. The gang fight in Shiva, the gritty characters of Satya, and the delightful slice of life metafiction Rangila have become milestones in the Indian cinematic universe. Ram Gopal Varma is credited with bringing many talents and technical firsts to Bollywood and the Telugu film industry. But lately, you will only read about how he has lost his mojo and about the box office performances of his film. But I feel that Ram Gopal Varma is an auteur. Unlike every other auteur, he brings his unique perspective to the proverbial cinematic table. He has a film philosophy. So let's examine Ram Gopal Varma's film philosophy in 5 points. Objectivism. Ayn Rand is an influential figure in Ram Gopal Varma's life. As such, Ram Gopal Varma is influenced by Ayn Rand's philosophy of objectivism. Ayn Rand defines objectivism like so: my philosophy, in essence, is the concept of man as a heroic being, with his own happiness as the moral purpose of his life, with the productive and achievement as his noblest activity, and reason as his only absolute. Ayn Rand heroes Howard Rourke in Fountainhead and John Galt in Atlas Shrugged are taciturn, intelligent in being and men of action. Ram Gopal Varma takes a leaf from the same page. His protagonist in Shiva, Company, D, and most famously, Satya, can be straight from Ayn Rand's novels. Satya is a particular case in point. Satya is a loner. We know little of his backstory, and he makes up his own morals in the underworld. He's slowly drawn to the world of underworld and does not draw his conscience or moral from any other person. Ram Gopal Varma famously pitched the hero as Howard Rourke in the Mumbai underworld. Laura Mulvey, in her essay titled Visual Pleasure and Narrative Cinema, developed the concept of male gaze in the movies. Now, some movies have shots that are specifically arranged for the visual pleasure of the male audience. The shots are arranged in such a way that they represent subjective view of the male voyeur for his eyes only. Ram Gopal Varma frequently employs the cinematic trope of the voyeur camera. His camera is a voyeur. It follows cavorting heroines and dwells on them for a while. The final shot of the sequence is almost always of someone watching them intently, as in here and here. The cinema acts as a proxy for the male gaze. Ancient Greek philosopher Herodotus wrote about the Persians that they made every important decision twice, once when they were sober and when they were drunk. Like the Persians, Ramu made some of his movies twice and then some more times. While he imbued each of his movies with its own characteristic texture, when one studies his work as a whole, a pattern stands out, a pattern which I like to call the Triptych. The Triptych comprises 3 important players: the hunter, who is after a thing of interest. It could be a tangible artifact, or in another case, the affection of a certain dame. The hunted in most cases is a damsel in distress, teamed up with a romantic interest. And lastly, the other, a player who is after the hunter and has many rendezvous with both the players. The hunter archetype is an unstoppable evil who would stop at nothing to get his object of interest. The unstoppable evil archetype is a recurring motif in Coen brothers movies as well. The chase between the hunter, the hunted, and the other form the shape of the plot. Indeed, the chase is one of the recurring micro-motifs of Ram Gopal Varma's movies. Movies like Shanak Shanam, Daud, Jungle, and Thiruda Thiruda, a movie which Ramu wrote the screenplay for Maniratnam, fit this pattern. Shanak Shanam, Sridevi's character teams up with Venkatesh, and the pair is chased by the neurotic Nair, played by Paresh Rawal, the hunter. Rami Reddy is the other archetype chasing Nair. Daud is another version of Shanak Shanam, where the duo of Sanjay Dutt and Urmila is again pursued by Paresh Rawal's Pinky, the hunter. And Ashish Vidyarthi is the other, pursuing Pinky's tail. Jungle's hunter is a Veerappan-like dacoit played by Sushant Singh, who falls for our damsel in distress Urmila. Sunil Shetty is the other, is after the dacoit and helps the hunted pair of Urmila and Fardeen. plot of Con is a classic example where Ram Gopal Varma does away with all the other distractions and features only the archetypes. The film is a classic exercise in triptych minimalism. Just when you thought that the cookie cutter archetypes will steer the movie in a predictable plot, Ram Gopal Varma subverts all the genre expectations and goes to town on this movie. Ram Gopal Varma is obsessed with cities and their seedy underbellies. He's also obsessed with organized crime and gang wars, perhaps because of his experience with gang wars firsthand in Vijayawada during his engineering days.
Mumbai underworld.
Its organized crime underbelly is as much a character in Satya as Bhiku. If you look closer at his films about organized crime, you will find that politics is at the apex of the hierarchy. The nexus is what drives the violence in the cities, and unsuspecting people, like ordinary citizens, become pawns or prey. Ram Gopal Varma structures his screenplay where the heroes find a chink in the armor and systematically eliminate the perpetrator, who, as you might have already guessed, happens to be a politician. Real life politicians are inspirations for his characters. Violence might be the staple of his films, but it would be naive to call Ram Gopal Varma as someone who glorifies it. What if I said that Ram Gopal Varma is a Gandhian? Yes, that's right. In many of his interviews, he mentioned that he had studied Gandhi and the Gandhian philosophy. You will find a Gandhi reference in all of his movies. In Rakt Charitra, there is a scene where goons kill people on the street and a pillar of Gandhi stands in the background. The camera then pans over the statue, generating a sense of heightened visual irony. Carl Gustav Jung points out Trickster archetype in his classification of human psyche. The characteristic trait of this archetype is disobedience of normal rules and conventional behavior. The trickster archetype finds mentions in many mythologies, and Loki from Norse mythology is a classic example. The trickster archetype plays tricks, tells stories or tall tales, and lives inside and outside of our times. No one can argue that Ram Gopal Varma fits this archetype. He revels in his remarks on Twitter, which might rub people the wrong way. He is outspoken and calls a spade a spade. At the same time, he seeks attention. His cinematic techniques reflect that. Jump scares from his horror movies, the MacGuffins and red herrings are tropes that he employs effectively. In his biography, Na Ishtam, which translates to My Wish, he describes clever thought experiments with delicious dry humor.